this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill
Wait
no
a
one.
second.
Oh, no.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin versus the world. I'm SeptumSin. This is Kotobukijake.
Hi.
And we're here to do something special, pickup-wise.
Woo!
And now for something completely different.
Actually, I got my MST3K hat back. The cats had stolen it and run away with it. And I found it stuffed under, covered in cat hair, so I had to wash it. So now you can see it's actually a true dark instead of cat hair gray, which was, how it is right there with me. But we're going to talk about something different today, because Jake has had some dry spells when it comes to the pickups. And I said, well, why don't I do it instead where we are going to discuss some controversial stuff. Something fun.
Because we never do that.
Well, yeah, but I figured this would be something fun. I've been holding this for a while, and I was just going to do it as a basic pickup theme, but then I thought, instead, why don't I just do this as a basic, give you a week to recharge, and we'll move from there. Watch that cat. I don't want him knocking over the switch.
Don't knock over the switch, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, that helps. So, we're going to talk about controversial anime today. Each of the anime we're going to discuss, it's 5 controversial anime, which is going to be the title of this pickup, and a 6 honorable mention.
Okay.
And I'm going to... Who has their sound on? Do you have your sound on your phone for the... turn your notifications down to vibrate. But we're going to talk a little bit about 5 series that are controversial for one way or another. I'm putting them in order from what I consider the least controversial to what I consider the most controversial.
So you've seen them all?
Almost all of them, and that's the reason why some of them are differently linked, and we'll get into that. So, let's start with an outlier.
Okay.
I have not seen this, but I know why it's controversial, and I considered an outlier because it's kind of minorly mentioned, and that is the Rising of Shield Hero.
I need to see that.
Now, we've shown this pickup before on the channel, though I've got both part 1 and 2, and season 2, I think, is done, or it's going, or it's somewhere in that vein. And it's, it's an isekai. But the one major controversial section in it is that a woman fakes a rape claim.
Okay.
And it causes the hero a lot of problems. Now, this can be very controversial in a lot of ways, because again, there's that showing any person faking a rape accusation can be damaging, potentially, especially when we really want to get to that area of believe every person's story. So that's why that could be considered controversial at the end of the day. I kind of like those covers there. I need to see it. I haven't seen it myself, but I've read about the controversy. I'm sure you've heard about the controversy on that.
I mean, now that you mention it, I've heard it mentioned in passing, but I hadn't heard about it as a controversy like some of these other series.
And a lot of that in my opinion, it causes a lot of anger to build up, and then real accusations sometimes might not be believed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And yes, there are some fake accusations in the real world, and I hate that because when there's a fake one, then people don't believe the real ones, and that's not good. But I wanted to get that as kind of a special mention out of the way.
And again, a show that has gotten a lot of acclaim that I really need to see.
Oh, yeah, from what I've heard, really good. But I have a couple of things. Just even if you look in the backdrop, there's a couple of things there. I have watched all of Voltron back there, but then you also see Dark Shadows back there, which is 1,200 episodes, and that is a bit much. So, this next one, I start at the least amount. So number 5. We're starting with one that I consider least controversial, but only because I have not seen it. So I cannot judge it on a personal scale. And that is the series Diabolic Lovers. Now, I know only a little bit about this, as it's a reverse harem with a bunch of boy band vampires, essentially. And I've got both seasons here. And I remember when I was in a discussion about...
As long as they don't sparkle, I think that's a good deal of controversy gone right there.
And I remember there was another person I was talking about another series that's going to hit on this list. And they were saying, yeah, at the time it was extremely controversial and people were refusing to buy it and all this. And I was like, when? When was this? I didn't see it. I didn't catch it. I feel like I've been tuned in. So I said, I will bring this up because you are more tuned in to anime news than I am. You're not as tuned in to the social media aspect of it, but you are at least tuned in to the news aspect. Have you heard about this series and about controversy around it?
As I have mentioned several times over the last few months, I ain't paying shit attention to news nowadays. I like real news, but not entertainment news.
Well, I mean, we're talking like this is years ago.
Oh, I know.
You would have heard about the controversy when it went on if it was big in the news, like anime news.
I missed it. I heard very little about that series.
So I've heard that there's some similarities
of it.
With potential for maybe rape and so on, and coercion. I don't know 100%. So in the comments below, if you know more about this controversy, after looking at the list, tell me, does this deserve to be at that lowest point on the list, at number 5, or should it be higher up? You decide.
Well, that is potentially a source of controversy overall, is the sexualization of vampires and all that kind of stuff, and the whole
I mean, look at that on the back there.
Well, of course there's that whole Twilight thing. And I have to admit, there are very few anime that pissed me off more than Vampire Knight Guilty, because of the way that it ended. The series was fine, but the ending,
it got weird at the end. It got very weird.
But some of that stuff you were talking about played into that whole story, and it got a little weird.
So, and that was also kind of a reverse harem if you think about it. So I'm curious about this. I was prioritizing all the series for this list. This one just came in very much not long ago. And I had other things that I was trying to get through at the time. And I really wanted to get this out, so I had to just go on without seeing it. Now, the rest of the ones on this list, yes, every single one of the anime on this list I have seen after this. So, number 4. Alright, now this is one that many people will say, why is this number 4? It's super controversial. Remember, my take. Not your take, not critics' take, not Funimation's take. My take. And that is Interspecies Reviewers. Now, this is the steelbook that was released
That's a fun looking set.
for $69.
Yes.
Now, with that, you get your series
Hint,
itself,
nudge, nudge. Say no more. Say no more.
but you also get the original soundtrack.
Nice.
I'm not sure if the soundtrack is worth having because
Is it the
it's an okay.
actual, like the music, or the actual songs, or what is it?
I haven't listened to the soundtrack. I'll
Oh.
admit. I've been.
Okay.
It's just like, when do I want to listen to this? I don't know.
Mhm.
But it's Funimation, so it's more likely that they'll release it because I've listened to Funimation soundtracks before, and they're very rare that they release them. But they usually release the themes on them. Whereas Aniplex has a record of not doing so. So it's hard to say. So this comes with a book right here.
Huh.
Now the book has a lot of the art, and it has a comic in the back, which is inappropriate for viewing. So we'll just say this, and let's see if I can find an appropriate. No. Let's see. No.
I want to see this.
No. No. Yeah, I guess it's still kind of inappropriate, but you should get the basic idea, you know. It's so this is kind of cool. I've read the little manga with it, and it's kind of neat. And essentially, it's about these adventurers who like going. Well, they like to spend their gains on the red light district. And one night they decide to write reviews of the red light district, basically the brothel that they went to. And people started paying them for it, so they decided to make that their job instead of adventuring. And you got to see the various demi-human brothels and how they work. And Funimation deemed it so improper that it was taken off of their streaming service very shortly after it was aired. Hence, many people wanting this, or they hit the high seas. This is partially censored, but only partially. And a lot of the times it looks like some of the censoring may or may not have been done intentionally at the beginning. So I can't really say for sure. Some people say that it's a lot more grotesque or something in the in other cuts, but they say this is the Japanese cut of it, which is fine by me. It's not that offensive to me by any means. I can understand why it might be because of the subject matter to many people, but it comes across as kind of just a basic ecchi series. And it's an ecchi series that has all right to be ecchi. If it wasn't ecchi, it would make no sense.
Yeah.
This does not need to be on the hentai label. All you really see is boobs. That's really pretty much the whole of it. So I don't really see the need to put it on the hentai label. It's not hentai. And it's actually pretty good. I have seen many ecchi series that are terrible. This one is funny, it's well written, it's well executed. I would give Interspecies Reviewers very high marks. It's very fun, and I really don't consider it that terrible a series. Which is why it's kind of on that low end. But people look at it, they think about the subject matter, and they go, oh my God, panic, panic. Again, in the down below, let me know. Do you feel that should be higher up in the list? Did you watch Interspecies Reviewers and go,
I need to see it.
And when I got it, I had to watch it right away. It's just, when people say don't do this, I gotta then look at it. There was another case of that later down the list, which actually is coming up right now.
Oh.
So, number 3. Alright. This one is going to surprise people. Because most would have said this should be number 1. Matter of fact, I saw the Anime America review of this. And even Robin had not put this at the number 1 spot for her most disturbing.
If I remember correctly, she gave Interspecies reviewers pretty high marks too.
Yeah.
And I know she loves Shield Hero.
So this one is Redo of Healer. This one is highly controversial.
Your favorite?
Uncut and uncensored. So, Redo of Healer is a revenge story, plain and simple. There may be some slight spoilers here, so I do apologize. I'll try and keep them minor. So, Redo of Healer is about this guy who is a healer in a party of heroes. He betrays the heroes at the end battle and grabs this item that allows him to go back in time and have the same memories he had of his life in that other timeline. And he dedicates it to getting revenge against all of the heroes that accompanied him. Why people hate this series is pretty simple. Redo is... Reddit... Okay. Our main character is not a good guy. I think it's Kyaru. Yeah, Kyaru is not a great guy. By any means at this point. His need for vengeance has turned him into almost as big a monster as the people that he is at. Almost. That's my opinion, as almost. Many people say he's much worse because of what he does. He ends up raping in there, enslaving people against their will, killing lots of people, and torturing people.
Lovely.
A lot of torture, a lot of rape, a lot of violence. Now, I will tell you that many of the people that he does this to are as bad, if not worse, and have done worse. The heroes involved, let's see here, child rape, incest, racism, mass genocide. These are the kind of things that the heroes are responsible for. So, name me poison. There's no real hero here. Except for maybe a couple of the side characters, which are fun. I was surprised to find that I didn't hate the series right off, as I was told I must. You must hate it. You must hate it unseen. Why? This plays a lot like the Count de Monte Cristo anime. Not the movie. The movie kind of redeems him a lot more. But the anime shows that he is on a dark path, and though there is a hint of redemption, he does a lot of stuff in the end. So there's a lot of similarities between the two. It just doesn't go quite to that level. It's close, but it doesn't go quite to that level. So, Redo of Healer, I'm interested in seeing the second season because I want to see how it plays out. If it plays out in a certain way, and maybe I could read the light novels, maybe I could read the manga, but I want to see how it goes anime-wise. If it gets to a point where where the main hero kind of realizes, hey, there is something wrong with what I'm doing, if there is a little bit there, then maybe this one has more of a redemption. So, case is open for this one. Now, I know you've heard about this one's controversy.
Well, yeah, you told me about it.
No, well. But yeah, that's the thing. And you can see now. So, I mean, what are your thoughts of this? Does that make
fun?
I mean, when somebody telling you don't watch this, it's bad, does that mean that you will never watch it?
if they told me it's bad as in like it's horrible, and I felt like there was reason to believe what they were saying, I'm not someone who's going to just stay away completely, but I might deprioritize it, you know. But yeah, sometimes though, like the whole kerfuffle with interspecies reviewers did make me want to see it more. Like, you know.
And these two have one thing in common, which is there's a lot of people who wanted to just eliminate these entirely.
Yeah.
And that is what got me to go, okay, I need to make sure I get a copy of it. I don't like book burning in any sense of the word.
Yeah.
So, and I consider basically saying we need to take this off the shelf and eliminate it. Book burning.
In a sense, yeah.
Digital book burning, but book burning.
Yeah.
So.
It is some bullshit.
So, you know, if anything, I wanted to preserve what it is. I mean, shoot, I've got Cannibal Holocaust, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
And a Serbian film.
Oh, we both definitely got stuff that we wouldn't be, like, putting forward as, oh, you gotta see this. And it's like, no.
So, I've brought those up, right?
Yeah.
So that means there's 2 slots ahead of them.
Interesting.
What could I consider worse than those 2? Especially interspecies reviewers. I mean, come on. It's about sex and the sex trade. I mean...
Good times.
But... School Days.
Ah, yes.
School Days had some controversy in its day.
That it did.
It's not a good series. First off, that just right off the bat, it's not a good series. The writing is hard, and the ending, oh my god, the ending is disturbing. This series is all shades of screwed up. You think it's going to be a slice of life romantic comedy
50
at first.
Shades or more.
But it turns into something really, really nasty towards the end. And of course I had to watch this again because, again, controversy. And I was curious about it. And controversy breeds curiosity. It hasn't bred enough curiosity in me to get Boku no Pico or track it down, because that would take some effort, and I don't want to use effort. But this didn't take me any effort. This was very cheap. So I was like, yes, I will go ahead and check it out. It's adapted from a visual novel. School Days is a suspenseful look at what happens when playing the field takes a turn for the worse. Yeah, you see a scene where somebody literally cuts a child out of a womb. Yep. They go there. And I believe I did a review on this back in the day.
I think you did.
So you can see that, and I think I even showed a little bit of that scene there because I was absence of context, so it didn't look as bad on the outside until you realized what it was. Yeah, so School Days is much worse than these other ones there in many ways. I would consider it more disturbing than a lot of stuff in this. I would actually put it almost, I would say, on par with Redo of Healer, but Redo of Healer is better written. So, y'all in the comments can tell me on the below whether you feel it's there. I think even in Anime America, Robin had put that in a little bit more on the lower end.
I seem to recall her being fairly terrified by it. I could be wrong, but I seem to.
So, number 1. I saved the best for last. And I think
One Piece.
That'd be a very personal opinion on that. But I am talking about
Oh, yes.
Gantz.
Oh, God.
Now,
Sadly, of all these, the one episode I've seen of that is the one episode I've seen out of all these series.
and so Gantz, we talked about terrible things like horrid violence, rape, torture, various horrid writing and action events. Gantz takes advantage of almost every focus
Gore.
and adds the extra gore factor to it. To 11, it makes Ninja Scroll look like a kid's anime. Essentially,
Which actually, Ninja Scroll probably could have been on this list.
it could have been. And I am surprised that one's not more controversial. I'm surprised
Me
people
too.
haven't gotten on the bandwagon. But oddly enough, my top 2 have not been on the bandwagon, even though
Well, this one's older.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ninja Scroll, but yeah.
I guess people just haven't rediscovered it yet.
Right.
But there's 2 live-action movies, which I refuse to buy now because back then I was more edgy about it and like, ooh, violence and gore and all this. Yes, must watch. No. This is probably one of the most nasty series I have watched. And I've watched a lot of nasty series. Essentially, it's about these 2 friends, and they get hit by a train because one of the friends tries to save this guy who fell on the tracks. His friend gets sucked in with him. They both get killed, and they both wake up and find out that this machine, Gantz, is now controlling their afterlife, sort of. They're alive again, and they get a chance to have their lives if they complete a number of hits for Gantz. And this involves a lot of terrible people doing terrible things. And a lot of death, and a lot of gore, and a lot of the above. And I have watched all of it a couple of times. It has a pretty kick-ass opener. And I must say, this was something. So, when I compared before these 2, I considered them fairly close. When I compare these 2, they're not even close. I say that for any of them. This is far more disturbing than anything there. So if you have a moral priority to ban stuff, I'm surprised that this is not on your ban. That this is not here on your in your purview at all. But
and yet
this is.
and yet this one thought it would be nice to show me an episode of this early on when he was still trying to get me into anime. Yeah, go.
I was a different person back then when it came to what I liked and disliked. And again, that was in that edgy phase of, hey, if it's the gorier, the nastier, the better. I probably would have gone after Boku no Pico back then.
Talking about other ones that you might have or do have, though. Well, we've talked a few times about Dead Leaves. That might be one that would show up.
Well, Dead Leaves can be,
Do you have Dead Man Wonderland?
I do.
That might be one that would be on some people's list, at least.
And I do think that people tend to, when they get on the bandwagon of banning things...
Shit, Attack on Titan.
I do think that people tend to lean towards sex as the thing. That's how it is in this country.
Because it's America.
Like,
it's
I'll give you an example. Let's say...
freaking stupid.
Let's go back to redo of Healer.
Yeah.
Let's say instead of the rape, let's say he just basically went in, beat them to the edge of their life,
Okay.
did a reverse, let's say instead of the raping of the characters, let's say instead he had actually just beaten them near to death, tortured them psychologically, and then killed them. This one wouldn't have had the controversy. I almost would be willing to bet that many of the people who would be calling for the banning of this series would be silent. Because it's okay. It's torture and killing. That's fine. But as soon as you put in the other.
Now, granted, I think rape deserves that upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, it's not for kids.
But when it's just sex, like with Interspecies Reviewers, that's where it gets absurd. Now, one that, if I recall correctly, involves rape, and I'm a little surprised this isn't on your list, but I thought that was one of the more controversial ones out there, isn't it?
That one is not, because that's the edited version.
Well, there you go. They had to edit it.
Which doesn't have the rape.
They have to edit it because.
No, I have the unedited one there, but.
Oh, okay.
And but that one is also.
There you go.
Yet nobody really has tried to ban that because but again
it's famous,
that one
though.
is
infamous.
It is an infamous one. But again, it's infamous more because of the editing out of the stuff. Than it was for the other. And that's actually one of the few examples of an anime, Mezzo Forte being another, where I feel that editing those scenes out improves the material. It's just, it didn't need it in there. It felt tacked on. It didn't even feel like it was done at the same time that the story was being recorded.
This one's had its share of controversy as well.
Yes, for different reasons.
Danganronpa.
But it's extremely popular.
Yes, it is.
So, but that's the thing, is it's all about that. Look at I Spit on Your Grave, though. That's a good example of a horror version of that.
Here's a good one. I don't know that this one really got a huge amount of controversy.
Nope.
But it's a really, really one that a lot of people were not sure what to make of it. Yamada's First Time. And it's all about a high school girl who's trying to have sex with 100 guys before graduation.
And is unsuccessful pretty much any time, yes.
But it's actually a really sweet coming-of-age comedy.
Yes.
But it's one that if you were to tell people what it's about, they'd probably shun you and the show.
But that's the thing, is it is...
Because it's sex.
It is what it is. Now... I'm going to say this at any of these points. None of these series, for what the people do or don't do, and of course all that going back and forth to the camera, and unfocused us.
Oh. Sorry.
But let's see how it looks when you sit back down here. It works enough.
Okay.
But in any case, a lot of those series. A lot of people look at this like, I mean, they could say, well, the people who do this are the heroes. I don't ever root for this dude. And yeah, because it's, unfortunately, it is. Let's see if I can get to do that. Nope. Well, we'll see. But yeah, this guy here is not the hero. There's no way that I ever mistake him as the hero, and because he's a slime ball from day one. He becomes the protagonist,
right?
But that doesn't mean hero. Right. This guy kind of gets his payback for being a good guy. Is there? At no point in time do I consider any of the main characters in this series the hero. I don't consider Kyaru the hero at all. I don't consider her the hero. I don't even consider her the victim, necessarily. I consider them all very nasty characters. Now her, I feel like she's a victim in this whole group because she's kind of innocent and he does questionable stuff to her. In his own weird, twisted way. But again, I don't consider them heroes for what they do. I don't feel like they're justified in what they do. Some people do. But unless you're going out and doing that to other people, that goes back to that same argument of, well, I kill people in violent video games, therefore I must be a murderer because I'm going to go out and kill people.
Obviously.
But that's just my take on these.
Okay.
If you had a chance to take these 5 titles and order them in least to most offensive to you, where would you order them? Do you feel any of these should be banned? I mean, I think that there's a rating system, and that is suitable.
Yeah.
Like,
mostly.
This one, yes, I do believe should be on the hentai section. I do believe this should be in the 18 and up section. This deserves it. And guess what? It has an 18 plus on the rating here. You can see it.
Okay, very good.
18 plus. This, I don't think this deserves to be on the hentai section. I think it should have an age rating, but I think a lot of things should have an age rating. I think that High School of the Dead should have an age rating on it. It's got a lot of boobs. It's got boobs that defy physics and can dodge bullets.
Right.
There are lots. I mean, you've seen ecchi series before.
Oh, yeah.
Could you think of ecchi series that show boobs that you feel are probably at least at that 18 or up?
I can actually think of some ecchi ones that probably like 13 up or whatever, but I'm trying to think of a good, solid ecchi that really, really was.
And Queensblade.
I haven't seen that yet.
But yeah, that's another one that's I'd say is worse than this when it comes to what they show.
Oh really?
Actually, I feel Queensblade's a little bit more exploitative.
Yeah. That's a good question. The one that keeps bouncing to mind that gets kind of explicit at times is Anhedenia, but that one I would not say is 18 plus. I'd say that's more like a 13 plus. But what else is some of the others?
I mean, now can you think of any series that comes across as a basic comedy series where there's a lot of sexual stuff mentioned and boobs being shown?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think anime's ever done that before?
Yeah. I think, and I've seen series where there was absolutely no need whatsoever to turn it into an ecchi. They had a perfectly decent show, and yet they turned it into an ecchi. Strike Witches, for one. I mean, that one's mostly all about none of them having pants, but it's actually a perfectly decent show. It's just that for whatever reason, none of them have pants.
High School of the Dead is a good example for me. I watched that. I loved it as a zombie horror series. They turned it into kind of an ecchi comedy in moments.
Right.
And then and tried to go back and forth between ecchi comedy and straight on horror.
Right.
And that just didn't hit. School Live, however, though they did have that one episode that they had like that where they were on the rooftop in their bikinis type thing.
Yeah, the requisite pool episode, yeah.
Other than that, it was for the most part straight out. It hit all those categories. So, again, it's just food for thought. I don't feel like this deserved as much downvotes as it did.
Oh, how about Aiken?
Aiken, definitely. That's an older one.
That is an older.
Matter of fact, there's one that Jungle de Iku, which shows an obviously underage girl and constant upskirt shots, and has very suggestive BS going on. And the only reason why I have a copy is because it's so terrible that sometimes you just want something because it's just so terrible.
Right.
But no, does it deserve some of the controversy it gets? Yes, it does. You can't do this stuff without having controversy, especially in this day and age. You can't do much this day and age without having controversy.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, it deserves the controversy it gets. Does it deserve to be banned? No. Do people that watch it, are they terrible people? No. Do people who don't want to watch it, are they terrible people? No. I think that makes my point. Well, I think this was an interesting discussion today. We may have some other things like this in the future, depending on how things go, but we'll probably do a pickup next week, so you'll see regular stuff. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and also, other than the order, maybe you could tell us a series that maybe has gone under the radar that you feel was as bad as Interspecies Reviewers, or as bad as Redo of Healer. Like maybe, say, Gantz, that's kind of been overlooked. And, you know, it didn't get overlooked in Japan. Japan did not air it originally because of the violence level.
Well, one show they did definitely make the front page, if you will, just generally. But they did get its fair bit of controversy, was the Sword Art Online franchise. And I've only seen season 1, but I can definitely see why. I know what a lot of the controversies were with that one, and a couple of them were freaking stupid. I'm sorry if you think it's if you were one of the people that got up in arms because of the Do Nothing arc. You just don't appreciate good storytelling. I'm sorry. But the second half of the series, the whole Asuna as a Sleeping Beauty thing was quite controversial for good reason. I think in that creeper who was responsible for it, they talk about your scumbags in anime. But so that was one where the controversy was partly story related, but also partly just the overall writing and just general. Yeah, there were a few reasons there. And then, of course, the controversies often come from movies or shows, sometimes movies, that seem to kind of crap all over the source material, which apparently happened with season 2 of Promised Neverland. It breaks my heart.
Who knows? Maybe they make it better.
Oh, from what Mo's like, no, it's utter crap. I've heard that it's utter crap. The first season kicked ass. The manga kicks ass. What were they thinking with that?
Now, as far as pickups today, these count as the pickups. Interspecies Reviewer, Diabolic Lovers, and Redo of Healer.
Well, technically, those others were pickups at some point.
At one point in time, yeah. Shield Hero has been shown as pickup on the channel before. Gantz, I've never shown it on the channel as a pickup because it was an early on pickup. I've owned this before I started the channel. I had a substantial collection before this channel was even conceived.
Like I said, it was one of the first anime he tried to show me. I don't know why, but you know, it was not first, but like first dozen.
I think a lot of it was trying to. I know my reasoning at the time, which was trying to give you an idea of all the variations of, you know, a comedy, of an action, and I think that one was just based of a like extreme anime. And I'd say that counts as extreme.
It's fairly extreme, yes.
But that was back
actually, no, there's a good example. Okay, one that drives Americans crazy because of all the nudity and sexual innuendos, that is a perfectly harmless family comedy, is Ranma and Half. That was one of the first ones you tried showing me. But yeah, with Ranma, you get tons of nudity.
Yeah. A lot of boobies.
A lot of boobies.
But not a lot of sex itself.
No, not really much sex, and the violence is mostly cartoony martial arts violence. Like, I've kind of halfway joked that I think the whole reason that Ranma 1/2 existed was so that Rumiko Takahashi could come up with new forms of martial arts.
Yeah.
And it's a great fun series, but it is like when his wife told me that this local library system had the Ranma manga in the kids section, I was like,
So they have somebody like painting tops on all of the women in there.
I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. I'm like, some parent somewhere is going to raise a fuss.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I remember when I was young, that was like when I was a teen and I had been introduced to Ranma, and I was introduced to it in the basic comic book format. That surprised me when I was like, what? Boobies? Huh?
Boobies.
But as a teen, that impresses you much more than as an older adult like I am now. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe I'm beyond the whole shocked thing. And keep in mind with Gantz, that did come out during that time, that early 2000s, where everything was trying to be the most extreme offensive thing in the world.
Yeah.
And people were very thick-skinned in the early 2000s.
And some didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the time Perry Delphin League came out, and that would be considered controversial by some. Lots of nudity, lots of violence, some of it brutal violence.
Oh, yeah.
Including child killing. But it's a classic series.
They kill a dog in it.
That's the worst part, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes, you have without going into specifics, a dog killing that leads to a brutal child massacre.
But that's the thing is, it's all relative. I do think that people looked at these things back in those days, and some people just kept eating it up because we need more offensive, more extreme, more violence. And then, and a lot of people in the norm, either they looked at it, was this well done? Like, say, Elfin Lied. Okay. Or was this not well done? Like, I don't know. What would be a good example of something not well done that was kind of dropped by the wayside? Maybe Gantz in a way, but Gantz got a brief blip on it.
Ninja Scroll.
Ninja Scroll, it was very well accepted by the public.
But it was not well done, damn it.
But, that's the thing is, if people look at it as super offensive these days and they don't go, they probably just ignore it. I mean, you don't see a ton about Gantz re-releases these days. You don't see a lot of news about it. It's just kind of gone off there. Even Ninja Scroll isn't talked about much except for people who had it when they were teens or early 20s when it was out and popular.
Sentai's keeping that one in print, though.
It is in print, but I don't hear a lot about it from younger audiences, and maybe that's why I don't hear a lot of calls to ban it. Because I'm sorry, if you really want to ban something like the above, you're probably going to want to ban Ninja Scroll. Don't watch Ninja Scroll. If you're offended by any of the stuff that we showed, don't watch Ninja Scroll.
If you think that's offensive, check.
See, we'll give you a list of all offensive things. And maybe I will expand upon this in the future and talk about stuff that would be too much for, I'd say, modern sensibilities these days. Some stuff probably that's too much even for my sensibilities.
One that's recently gotten a re-release that I know is a favorite of yours. But when they were talking about the re-release, there was a lot of ink spread on how City Hunter hasn't exactly aged well. And there's a few, and a lot of those shows from the early 90s.
Oh, shoot, Lupin. Lupin is one that would be considered offensive. I mean, he's an offensive character. Because
it depends too. He kind of comes and goes and changes with the day.
But he's still kind of what do they call it? A lecher.
Well, he is that.
And that in and itself is considered bad.
Like that scene, was it The Legend of Mamo, I think it was, where they get to look inside his brain and it's...
And then there's like, let's see, our Haposai from Ranma.
Yes.
He would definitely not fly these days.
Hoppo-san has not aged as well as he
Yeah,
might.
he's not aged very well.
And that's true. A lot of Takahashi's series, sadly, she tended to have the dirt. Yeah, Cherry
Itaru.
was. Well, Urusei Yatsura is full of.
Actually, come to think of it, Itaru is a problematic protagonist. That
Itaru's a very
could be right up there with them. So there's a lot. We could probably talk about this as a long running, and maybe we'll make this a discussion in the future as a what do they call it? A vlogcast.
Yeah.
Get like a whole bunch of people around the table, and we can talk about movies and series that would not hold up today. So,
could work.
Again, that's been SeptumSin versus the World. Hope
Right.
you've enjoyed that. If you did, hit that like button. Again, hit that subscribe.
Again.
Well, don't do it again because then you'll unsubscribe.
Oh well.
And we've been in that like 290s to 300s back and forth for the last couple of months. So
Okay.
I want to get through that 300s and get into that.
Right. Get all the way up to 350.
But you know, I'm not afraid to talk my mind off of one of these because again, to me, it's good to be honest with these things.
Oh, indeed.
I mean, I'm watching Code Monkeys right now, which Jacob is using as a coaster. Good job. But Code Monkeys is definitely one that I consider potentially offensive to people. Matter of fact, that one works very well. Family Guy, good example of one that doesn't necessarily hold up very well. South Park, I don't know how the heck that keeps getting episodes.
Well, what is the thing? Like, supposedly they're trying to get canceled.
They want to be canceled so they could say they were canceled. That's how they want to. I really do think that's how they want to go. I think that's why they keep pushing the limit as much as they are nowadays, because they want to stop, but they want to end like that. They want the show to end by being canceled because, see, we managed to offend people so much that we were canceled. They want that badge of courage. I could see that from them, actually.
Yeah.
Lord knows they got enough money to retire on.
Yep.
But with that, let's see you on the next one.
All right.